Next one. Well, welcome and thank you for coming to our 25th anniversary at Hi-Lite. My name is Michael Boger. I'm one of the suppliers here. We'll get a chance to recognize everybody in just a minute. But I get the dubious honor of introducing everyone today. We've got some distinguished guests, some other folks we'd like to recognize, and then John will finish up. So we've got about 30 minutes of time. So if you'll bear with us, we'll get through most of it. I want to start out, though, talking a little bit about my own experience with Hi-Lite. First off, John says, you know, we probably will have 95 people here. And I thought, wow, 95? Does John really know 95 people? And I thought, well, exactly what he told me about the program was, I figured it out, it's a free lunch. So the free lunch is certainly an easy way to get people here. I'm just kidding, John. Anyway, John and I probably entered the business about the same time, in the early 90s, after I graduated from college. And we didn't really know each other for a long time. In fact, we knew of each other, but Hi-Lite was a customer of ours, and we were on doing all kinds of things. We had a bit of a reorganization at our business to where that left me in charge of the airport business. So the more I worked on the airport business, the more I found the name Hi-Lite. And the more I worked on the airport business, the more I found Hi-Lite. And it ended up kind of being like the Saturday Night Live skit, the pop-up guys. Every place I turned around, here's Hi-Lite, you know. So they kept running across me, and we'd see each other, and John kept saying, well, come visit. I'm like, okay, well, you know, you're way up there, up here. So I didn't come visit. So about 10 years later, I come to visit John to learn more about Adams Center in Watertown, and I was delightfully surprised. I learned that on one hill it can be sunny, and on the next hill you got a foot of snow. And then I also learned, and I was disappointed it wasn't today, that they have a fry machine at the Watertown or at the Syracuse airport that fills the entire airport with good smells. So lots of good things I learned, but most importantly, I learned about the employees of Hi-Lite. And I learned that it wasn't just John or Calvin or a few people that I met, but that there was a big organization here. And I learned a lot about them. And I learned that us working independently, although we're going in the same direction, was not nearly as valuable as working together. And what I really learned to appreciate is that what I found most exciting about Hi-Lite is really the spirit that drives them. And a lot of people define it as entrepreneurial spirit, and I think it really can be summed up in two words. Had an opportunity to manage lots of people and processes, and it's desire and commitment. And those are big words. But without that, really businesses fail, people fail, and processes fail. And I'm proud to have known and continue to know Hi-Lite, and I'm proud to really match our desires and our commitments up. But let me give you an idea how that works. So desire can be summed up in John's respect with a desire to do the best, to be the best that's out there. A desire to differentiate themselves from competitors, and a desire to develop, train, and educate their employees, of which I've had the opportunity to do. He's constantly bringing in suppliers. Hi-Lite has folks that come in. There's others here as well. That share their knowledge, that work together with Hi-Lite, not independently. Commitment, same way. The commitment to each employee. And when you say the Hi-Lite family, they really mean it. It's not, I've worked for organizations that are giant in size. I've worked for some small ones. But John, when you're part of the Hi-Lite family, even as a supplier, you know that's a different relationship. There are a lot of family members, a lot of McNeelys, but every employee is treated just like family, and that takes a big commitment. Commitment to customers. A lot of companies take the easy way out and look at short term, and John is committed to do what's right no matter what. And that's the last point. Really, to do the right thing as a company when no one is watching. And let me say that one more time. To do the right thing when no one is watching. And that sounds like a play on words and being very simple, but I can tell you, I've been with their crews. I've been with crews from around the world, and there's a lot of people that say, keep going, just go forward. There's no one checking. But not the Hi-Lite crew. They will stop, they will fix it, and they'll make it right. Even more than that, if they have discovered an issue after the fact, where most folks would say, we're done, we've been paid. Let another contract. Hi-Lite comes back and does the right thing, whether they're looking or not. So I'm proud of John, the Hi-Lite team, everyone in this accomplishment of 25 years. But I'm most excited about the next 25 years and what that means. I know there's a lot of people in this room that share that same excitement. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first guest, Don Alexander, who, as I read his bio, needs no introduction. He's a local celebrity, but he's been involved in this community forever, right? Forever. And he was here before there was a Hi-Lite, and he's here now. And he's here with us today. So Don, if you'd like to come up and say a few words.
Michael, thank you. I appreciate that. Just for a point of reference, Methuselah was a cousin of mine, and we arrived around the same time here in northern New York. So it's been a while, but I appreciate that kind introduction. What a great turnout today. I'm just absolutely blown away. I came in, frankly, expecting 20 people because I do this all the time. We have the good fortune of being involved in economic development, and so we see a lot of ribbon cuttings, openings, and so on, as the good congressman will probably tell you. And, typically we end up with 20 or 30 people, all nice folks, and we all have a good time. But when I walked in this door and saw this number of people, it confirmed what I thought from day one. And Michael said it best. This is a family affair. And what a great family affair it is. But let me tell you, you were giving me a bad time about my age and all that stuff, and I'm willing to understand that. But I'll tell you, I go back to 1979, and a young lady by the name of Rhonda McNeely, who was the lovely wife of handsome Cal O'Neill, who has, by the way, a new tie, I might add, for today. Rhonda called the Greater Watertown Chamber of Commerce, and I was doing some volunteer work back then, 1979, and they said, would you mind going down and talk to Rhonda and, see what she's up to and so on? And I said, sure. So I did. I went down and I talked to Rhonda. And she said to me, we just bought this used striping machine, and I'd like to get in business. Do you have any idea how that might be done? Well, the truth of the matter is I'm not sure how much I helped Rhonda, but that was my first experience with the Hi-Lite crew, 1979, and a used striping machine. Well, I submit to you that a great deal of things have happened since 1979, and I want to tell you, frankly, it's been my pleasure to be a part of that. I think that Mike may have said it, but I look at these folks from very close up, and recently we've been involved in helping with some financial matters and so on. And there's certain things that you see in a company, and when we do an evaluation of their potential, we evaluate things, a lot of things, the numbers and all the crunching of things you would expect. But there are some more subjective issues that we look at. And frankly, let me just tell you a couple of those. One is that when I looked at the McNeely family, the first thing I saw was an enormous commitment to hard work to make something happen. That's just absolutely critical if a company is going to survive in this day and age, and not only survive, but to grow. Secondly, they had a vision. And it started when I first talked to Rhonda in 1979 and said, what are you going to do with a used striping machine, Rhonda? And her eyes lit up and she said, we're going to make a successful company of this. Thinking to myself, yeah, I got to use wheelbarrow out in the backyard, but that ain't going to do it necessarily. But she proved me wrong, because the gleam in her eye was more than that. It was a vision of how this company could succeed. And then there came the guts part. And again, you're not going to see this in a bank statement. This won't show up in our loan review at the IDA. But a quality I called guts. And Big John, who I like to refer to Big John, who's got his new striping tie on, is just loaded with this characteristic of guts. And those are some, in my view, humble reasons why a company like this just really is successful. And of course, they take pride in their work, and we've all talked about that. And I just think that good companies have that as the basis for whatever they do. And fortunately, we've used Hi-Lite now as a poster child for economic development. And I mean this sincerely. When we talk to companies, they come to Northern New York and they say, you know, why should I locate where you are? Why should I choose Jefferson County as a home? And one of the things I can point to with pride is it's just loaded with great people who have a work ethic that will make your company successful. You can have a great idea, you can have lots of money, but if the people you employ don't give it 110%, you may not make it. Well, that is not the case with Hi-Lite. The people they have, the local people they employ, and it's mostly local people, I would add, they're just great. And they're going to be successful because of that absolutely terrific attitude. So I'm not sure what the next 35 years, using the 1979 number as opposed to the 25 years, I'm not sure what that's going to bring to Hi-Lite. But I have a sense that maybe Rhonda or Cal or John may call me one day and say, I bought a used striping machine and I'd like to get into another business. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to hear that happen. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Bob. Our next guest is Bob. Pardon me. Bob the banker. Pardon me, Bob. Bob Markowski. Bob's with MBT Bank. He's helped folks through the transition from one page to the next, which is really the start of the next exciting journey. So, Bob, if you want to come up and give us a few words and your take.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow, Don. I'll talk to you, John, about the order next time. Rhonda, 1979. I didn't realize you started working here when you were like 10. That's very impressive. And there's some child labor laws you might want to look into there, John. I think I first met John back in 2000. John had gone through 3-4 different bankers at the time, and here comes me, comes Bob. I'm your new banker, and he's like, okay, great. You'll see you for a short time, and then you'll be gone. And 14 years later, we're still doing business together, so I appreciate that. And appreciate the opportunities, and I don't know, 3-4 different name changes since then, and significant growth over that time has made this a much better company as it continues to grow, and we're very excited to be a part of it. Recently, John put together a package to take the company to the next step, which was a little bit more than we were able to do as a bank. And luckily, we were able to partner with Brian Bunn and New York Business Development Corporation, and who brought in the USDA as well to put a loan package together that we were able to get approved. And couldn't have been better. It was a phenomenal deal for everybody. Got John to what he needed, and everyone else. And we're excited to be involved in that and have that opportunity to continue to be involved with John is go on for the next 25 years and I think it's been a great company, and we're very honored. Congratulations on 25 years. I look forward to working with you. I don't know if I'll be here for another 25 years myself, but I'll be here as long as I can and try to help you out. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. As some of you know, I have lots and lots of children, so that was where the Bob the banker came from. Bob the Builder, that song still rings in my ears. I can't turn it off, and they're grown. Our next guest, with a much more formal introduction, he's got a great bio. So, I'd like to first go through a few notes on Congressman Owen. Many of you may know him, but we're grateful that he's here today, share his time with us. He's a very busy person, as everyone is. He's a lifelong resident of Plattsburgh with his wife, Jane, and 3 children. After graduating from law school, he went on to serve as a captain in the Air Force. Back with our airplanes and everything else, he's a guy that loves lines at heart. But then when he moved on to that after the Air Force, he has been in economic development and serving and helping build things most of his life. From what I can see, his law firm was focused on small business development and working with businesses to grow their business. After going to Congress, he's been key on really trying to redevelop. So his focus is really our focus. So with that, and no further comments, I'd like to really introduce the Congressman.
Thank you. I'm going to start off by saying something I wouldn't if I was running for re-election. But when you said that there were 2 important words, desire and commitment, I think it's 3.
That is absolutely correct.
I just wanted to let you know I was paying attention. When I was first elected, I had a very interesting experience. I was sworn in about 3 days after being elected, and on the House floor, they allowed my grandchildren to come with me, which I later learned they only allow children on the floor of the House, which is the reason I'm leaving. You got to think about that a little bit. When I was sitting in the audience, I was looking at these flags. And I suspect that they represent all the countries in which you've done business. Is that fair? Fair. What that tells me is that this organization has done something that's very important. They have looked outside their region, they've looked outside their state, and they've focused on growth. And they've accomplished that in an incredibly important way with respect for their employees and respect for their customers, and I gather respect for their vendors. Those qualities make a company like Hi-Lite so important to all of us because they're doing multiple benefits for their community and for themselves. They're exporting, a very important part of our future economic growth. We need to focus on exporting. When you look at where the world is going in terms of the needs of countries like China, of India, they're going to need food, they're going to need tech, they're going to need many capacities which they do not have themselves, and a company like Hi-Lite is leading the way for all of us. So the next time a person comes with a striping machine, Don, you need to be a little more enthusiastic. There's lots of great ideas out there. We need to help people implement and create jobs through the utilization of these great ideas. I was telling Bob that I had a bit of a history with NBT Bank before coming to Congress. I was on their board for 14 years, and I was in fact chairman of the Comm Committee. And his response was I going back to the bank, and if so, could he be my friend? Let me offer congratulations. This is very important for the community, for the company. It also demonstrates that government and the private sector can work together to get good things accomplished. And I applaud all the participants in this process. Thank you for having me here today, and enjoy a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. So our last speaker of the day is Mr. John Big John? Is that what? Big John. Big John. I've never heard Big John before, so we've got to widen that circle. So Big John will be invited in just a moment. But before we do that, so we can see who's in the audience, and I failed to do this earlier, because they're not employees. We haven't planted employees to build the crowd here. Could we have a show of hands who are employees, who actually works for Hi-Lite? All right. Wonderful. How about suppliers? Any suppliers that are out there? And all right, lots of people showing up. Bunch of good guys and I'm just kidding. They're no bad guys. And then family and friends. Family and friends. All right, and then the free lunch, of course. All right, so John, you're on, and he'll bless us with a few words. Then we have a couple more people that'll come up real quick after that, and then we'll move on to eating.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Congressman Owens, Bob Markowski, Don Alexander. Your words are very much appreciated, and it's always been great to be part of the local community and have the support of the local people. As we mark our 25th anniversary, I have been reflecting on what Hi-Lite means to me. The Hi-Lite name has been with us for 25 years. The company started in 1989 as Hi-Lite Striping Co. Inc. And through the years, it has been modified numerous times to its current iteration, Hi-Lite Airfield Services, LLC. And I promised the bankers that we will not change the name of the company anytime soon. Corporate structure, ownership structure, and services offered have changed, but the word Hi-Lite has been a consistent theme. As a noun, Hi-Lite means an especially significant or interesting detail or event. Over the span of 25 years, there have been many highlights. Our first bonded job, the streets of Fort Drum, striping the entire interstate system through the city of Syracuse, buying our first epoxy truck and branching out into other services, opening offices outside of New York, first in South Carolina, followed by Buda, Texas, where we manufacture Rejuvaseal, Florida and Virginia, where we make our readily biodegradable AeroGreen products that we use on airports. We've also opened offices outside of the United States, the first office being in Kingston, Ontario. Other milestones in the last 25 years include working at some of the busiest airports around the world. Currently, we'll be starting in 2 weeks our largest project to date at Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport, where we'll be working for the next 6 months, removing all of the centerline and edgeline taxiway markings throughout the airport. We also have done projects at JFK, Orlando, Dallas, Abu Dhabi, Doha, Jeddah. In Central America, we've worked in Guatemala City, San Jose, Costa Rica, Panama. In South America, we've done work in Guayaquil and Quito, Ecuador. In Canada, we've worked from coast to coast. Many of the suppliers were with us last week at a conference in Vancouver where we did some demonstration of our services and their services, and we've been striping and working at the Vancouver airport the last 3 to 4 years. All of these milestones are significant. But from my perspective, these highlights are not the highlight I experience every day. The highlight of my day almost every day starts with a drive into work and stopping at Dunkin' Donuts. But it soon follows walking into the office and seeing what the McNeely family has developed. It is the Hi-Lite team, our employees, and resulting energy and sense of community that is the catalyst that makes it all possible. It is the crews working tirelessly that create our success. Hi-Lite is more than we could have ever dreamt 25 years ago. We currently have over 100 local employees. It is these employees, coupled with the many resigning outside of New York, that is the single most important component of Hi-Lite. To summarize, at the micro level, the highlight of working at Hi-Lite is its people. At the macro level, it is the important work that we do that is the highlight. As a verb, highlight means to make prominent, emphasize. And the work we do, we feel, is truly vital. We play a significant role in making flying safe for the millions of passengers that take to the sky daily. Markings on airfields play a critical role in reducing runway incursions, as they are a critical component of moving the aircraft from the runway to the gate. Imagine an airfield without markings. The pilot lands on a runway. How would he ever get across all of the vastness of concrete and asphalt to get to the gate? It is the markings that lead the way. Our other services, such as rubber removal, asphalt rejuvenation, friction testing, all of these services play a critical role in runway safety. To be successful, you need the best materials and equipment for the job. Today, in this room, we are represented by some of the best manufacturers in the business. Sherwin-Williams provides our FAA-approved paint. Potters provides the glass beads that make markings reflective. You Hi-Lite Sherwin-Williams traffic paint. Flint Trading provides the specialty markings on airfields. All of these partners are people that we work with over the last 20 years, and we believe to be successful, you need good suppliers, good vendors, and you need to develop long-term relationships. We also need the best equipment. Our water blasters, for instance, come from Blasters out of Tampa, Florida, and we're represented today by Blasters. It is these long-term relationships that provide the foundation for our success in the field. The Hi-Lite team, doing the work of highlighting the runway, is truly our story. It is the story of Hi-Lite. I'm going to share a few stories. I'm going to go and then I'm going to kind of tie them all together and kind of give you a global perspective on Hi-Lite and what we're doing and where I think we could end up 25 years from now. As most of you know, we have a business partner in Ecuador. His name is Oscar. I've been there many times. Many of the people working for Hi-Lite have been to Ecuador. Michael even goes to Ecuador on a regular basis and works with us and works with Oscars. And I've taken many trips throughout the country of Ecuador. And one of them was to a job site in the jungle on the other side of the Andes Mountains. And on my drive there, we would pass houses along the way. And I would say to Oscar, there's no windows in those houses. And Oscar would say to me, yes, there are windows in those houses. And this literally went on all day. And it wasn't an English-Spanish translation issue. I perceive a window as needing glass. Oscar says a hole in the side of a wall constitutes a window. Just a different perspective. Another story I'd like to share with you is traveling domestically in the country of Brazil. And I've been to Brazil a few times, and Hi-Lite, I've been called in, and other people that work for Hi-Lite, because of our specialty, they ask us to visit runways, offer recommendations and suggestions, and we develop projects and we assist airports. And when traveling in Brazil, on a plane from city to city, everyone travels in economy. The planes are always full, and you will always find people on those planes that are flying for the first time. And I asked the local, why are the planes full? Why, it's like when you come to a gate in Brazil, it's like a herd. Everyone comes right up to the gate, you're squeezed onto the plane, everyone grabs their seat, you never know who you're going to be next to. And it's just a unique, different type of experience. And he said, the reason the planes are full, and many times why you find people that have never flown before, is that in Brazil, you can buy a ticket and you can pay out for it over time. So no matter how much money you make in the country of Brazil, for a few dollars a month, you can travel and go visit that loved one, that moved across the country that you haven't seen for 10 or 20 years. One more quick story I'd like to share. You've not experienced flying until you arrive in Dubai. When you arrive in Dubai for the first time and you transit to Emirates Airlines to fly out of the A380 terminal, that's the only terminal in the world dedicated to the A380. And the A380 is the largest passenger plane currently in service. It's the true double-decker. But when you're entering Emirates Airlines and you're entering the terminal, it's beyond anything you can imagine. And it gives you it's an experience from a completely different perspective. And when you're there, you truly see the future in aviation. And I was thinking about all these stories over the last few days. And I said to myself, someday, anyone in the world, even someone with no glass in his or her window, is going to be able to buy a ticket, connect through a futuristic aerotropolis like Dubai, and end up at Watertown International Airport. Airports are connecting the people around the world, and we, Hi-Lite, the entire team, everyone here, is playing a critical role in their success. We are the best airfield maintenance contractor in the world. Hi-Lite offers critical solutions to airfields. The USDA loan, along with the assistance of NYBDC, NBT Bank, and JCDIDA, all play a significant part in making all of this possible. 25 years ago, we, the McNeelys, the Hi-Lite at the beginning, we were looking through a window with no glass, with no idea where we would stand 25 years later. Today, looking through a glass window, our sights for the next 25 years are well beyond our best imaginations. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share our story.
Well done, John. Well done. Well done. That's something. Here, stay here. Sorry. That does a great job on tying the whole story together. Before you leave, could we invite Assemblywoman Adie Russell to the stage with the ladies? Adie would like to make a presentation.
Well, I think everything's been said, and I think John summed it up perfectly. So what I'll just say is that this business, someone should write a textbook about it. And as far as exemplifying North Country values, the reason why I do what I do to support businesses like you guys are tops. So I've brought from you a citation from the New York State Assembly honoring the work that you do. I won't read it, but I will end my remarks and congratulations by saying, at one point, a family friend moved back from living in another state, and his mom called my mom because, he didn't have a job, and what was he going to do? He was going to have to keep working at Pizza Hut. Called to say he got a job at Hi-Lite. And when those announcements come through our communities, we all breathe a sigh of relief and are so grateful to have a conscientious, wonderful employer in this area that cares about people. And we're relieved when our young people get to go to work there. Thank you for bringing that and keeping that in our community. And best of luck on the next 25.
Thank you very much.